HD2, Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers. LA 21-12681. Offices in Baton Rouge. Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Tuesday. It means we're brought to you by Daryl May of Trusty Properties. Got Jacob Beck and Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos, fired up. You're hanging out with us. Lots and lots to get to over those 2 hours. Saints training camp day 6. We had a bit of a walkthrough period at Saints training camp, but I want to dive into some of the things that Ross Jackson's written over at LouisianaSports.net that are pretty telling this early in training camp, so we'll get into some of that in 15 minutes. Glenn West here talking Tigers at 1:30. Josh Pearson says goodbye to LSU. I'll give some of my thoughts on his goodbye message and kind of his very interesting career as a Tiger over the last 4 years. My in-depth chart feature today is on the edge group at LSU. Just a spoiler for that at 2 o'clock. I'm pretty high on that position group right now as we get closer and closer to camp. Sharif Ishak from Saints camp in an hour and a half talking black and gold. So lots and lots and lots to do. Lock us in. Let's start the same way we do every day with our Genesis opening drive.
It's time for Hunt's opening drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
You can find a preseason poll, preseason projection for college football just about anywhere you click on the interwebs these days. And one of the ones that I look at annually is Bill Connolly's over at ESPN, and I was taking a look at it today, and it is exceptionally analytical. Lots of numbers, lots of decimal points, lots of rankings, lots of formulas, lots of charts. That's the way Bill Connolly handles his writing at ESPN, and for some people, that's like gold. For some people, it's just white noise. Just get rid of it, and that's okay either way, but we're sitting here in late July, and that's kind of the season of the year that we're in. And I did take an interest in what Bill had to write about the Southeastern Conference today and what he had to write about LSU today. And I will start with the returning production. This is something that Matt on After Further Review talks about a lot and that I find interesting as well. When you look at returning production, LSU is in the middle of the pack of the SEC, closer to the top. And they return about 65% of their offensive production. That's 23rd in the country. The teams ahead of LSU in returning production, which, by the way, is weighted heavily towards quarterbacks. So Garrett Nussmeier coming back is huge, even though you lose Mason Taylor and you lose Kyron Lacey and you lose a lot of your offensive line. Like the fact that you've got your quarterback through for 4,000 yards is weighted here. Auburn's got more returning production back. Oklahoma, which surprised me, has more returning production back. Texas A&M, and then Vanderbilt is actually the top of the SEC at third nationally in returning production. LSU returns 65% on offense and 64% on defense, according to Bill Connolly. So that's a good place to start. Then I immediately go to, okay, well, what does he think about this year's team? And I do that with an understanding of what the vibe is in Baton Rouge right now. And the vibe in Baton Rouge right now is sky high. Like, it just is. People expect this LSU team to have a quarterback that is among the best in the country, that is competing for a Heisman Trophy. They expect this team to compete at the top of the SEC with the likes of Georgia and Texas and Alabama and whoever else you want to toss into that mix. And people here expect LSU to be in the playoff. And we kind of know, based on 1 year, which is a small sample size, and the rules have changed slightly, but a small sample size suggests that you need to win 10 games to get into the college football playoff. 11, obviously you're in. 12, obviously you're in. 10, I still feel like after 1 year sample size, I still feel like 10 gets you in. So what does Bill Connolly and his metrics and his analytics have to say about LSU and their chances to get to 10 wins? Well, it's a little daunting, because Bill Connolly has his thought on LSU's win total at 8.5. And some of that is baked into the fact that he's looking at LSU from a strength of schedule perspective, and that's the 9th most difficult in the country. He says their offense is second in terms of S&P Plus. He says their defense is 23rd in the country. And all that, if you take out the 8.5 wins, I think LSU say, okay, second offense in the country, that sounds really good. I'll sign up for that. And if I tell you 23rd in defense in the country, you're like, oh, I'll sign up for that for sure. Just a season removed from being up around 100. So, yeah, I'll take top 25 defense all day long. And Connolly writes that. But that 8.5 is going to get LSU fans in a bit of a twit because they don't think that this is an 8-win team. And they don't care on the high end if it's a 9-win team because 9-3 is probably not good enough. I'll need to see that to believe it. So that sent me, while I don't think it's unreasonable, first of all, I think 8-4 is a possibility for LSU. I think 9-3 is a possibility for LSU. I think 10-2 is a possibility for LSU. I think at 11-1 is a little bit of a stretch. So I think on the high end, LSU is a playoff team. I think on the low end, you're 8-4. I don't see some sort of bottom falling out and it's 6-6 and all that. But I'm not going to rule that out here before I've watched them take one snap in practice. But I'm hopeful that they're a 10-win team. I've written that that I think they're a likely 10-win team. So the next step in my journey here was to go, okay, I've seen this. I know LSU fans aren't going to like it. So let's look at what his metrics said entering the last few seasons. And I went back and looked at the past 4 seasons. I didn't do 2020 because I don't want to do 2020. That's a wasted year. But I did 2024, 2023, 2022, and 2021. And here's what I found. In 2024, entering last season, Conley had LSU ranked in 9th preseason, same as this year. He had them as a 9.2 win team and a 5.7 SEC win team. So about 9 wins overall, close to 6 wins in the league. And LSU won 8 games last year and won 5 league games last year. So not completely off. Go back to 2023, Jaden Daniels' Heisman Trophy season. I don't know if anybody quite saw that coming, along with Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas, but you also couldn't have possibly forecasted that defense to look that bad. So what did he say entering the 2023 season? He had him 5th in the country preseason. 5th. Had 9 wins and then 5.5 SEC wins. And LSU went 9-3 and won 6 league games. So you had right on the money for their overall wins, and you had 6-2 on a 5.5 win SEC mark. That's right about correct. Go back to 2022, Brian Kelly's first year at LSU. 28th preseason. 6.5 wins overall is what he had him forecasted for. 3.1 in the league. We know LSU greatly outpaced that. LSU won 9 games that year, so 2.5 over the total that Connolly had projected, and won double the SEC games. LSU went 6-2. He had LSU as a 3.1 win SEC team. So undershot there. And then 2021, coming off the COVID year that was weird, and you come back, it's 2021. This ended up being Ed's last season, and LSU was 26th preseason. I don't know what that baked in with Miles Brennan here. I'm not sure. But he had him at 7.2 wins overall. They won 6. He had them at 3.9 SEC wins. They won 3. So not far off. Essentially, last year, he hit it. He just barely overshot where LSU finished. LSU was a little bit worse. 2023, he hit it right on the number. 2022, he didn't see in Brian Kelly's first year LSU ripping off the total that it did, and he missed the overall wins by 2.5 and was 1 high on the losses. And then in 2021, he had LSU as a pretty mediocre football team, and LSU was a pretty mediocre football team. So this is to suggest that, like, his forecasts have been pretty good outside of Brian Kelly's first year where LSU won the SEC West. And so he looks at this and says that it's between an 8 and a 9 win team, and it's probably a 5-3 SEC team. And if you extrapolate that out, it's probably a loss to Clemson, 3 SEC losses, and you're sitting there 9-3, 8-4. That is what Bill Connolly's number suggests. I don't think that's unreasonable. I think it's on the low end. I think it's on the low end because I would be really surprised if LSU went out there and went 7-5. Like, that just seems really unlikely even with that schedule. You'd have to lose your road games. You have to lose Clemson. You got to lose Ole Miss. You got to lose Bama. You got to lose Oklahoma. And then you'd have to drop one more at home against somebody like A&M, Arkansas, Vanderbilt. That almost seems worse than worst case scenario. With the amount of talent that LSU's brought in, I think that this prognostication, while not unreasonable, is on the low end. And all you've got to do is outperform it by one game, and you end up in the playoff. And we know that so many SEC games, especially with the good teams, come down to the last 7 minutes. And if you can win the last 7 minutes, then you win the game and you flip that one loss to a 1 win, and you're right where you need to be. So it's, to me, I find it reasonable. I find it on the low end, and I'm hopeful, based on where LSU is, that they're a playoff team. But you look at them ranked 9th in the country, and you bake in automatic bids for conference champions, and you're right on the edge of the playoff. And that's basically where everyone has LSU forecast at this point, right on the back end of the at-large teams. All right, that's just one guy's thoughts, Bill Connolly and his big old computer. We'll continue to talk about it as we move forward. Glenn West in 15 minutes, talking all things LSU. So pumped up to tell you about our new Tuesday sponsor. It is Daryl May and Trusty Properties. Daryl is a lifelong Baton Rouge resident, and he knows the ins and outs of our area, unlike many in the marketplace. If you are looking for land to use as a hunting property, land to use as an agricultural property, land to use just as your retirement home or your place outside the city as a second home, and you want acreage, Daryl is the guy you've got to call. I will give you his phone number here at the end of the read, so if you're interested in that, get your phone out and get ready. But we're talking about a guy that's licensed in Louisiana, so if you're looking into Felicianas, if you're looking at Point Capee, he can help you out with all of that. He's licensed in Mississippi as well, looking at Woodville all the way up to Natchez. He can help you with that. He's an expert in this field. He's been doing it a long time, and he's happy to help you with it. It's Daryl May. Give him a phone call. As I told you, I'll give you his phone number each and every Tuesday as we move forward here as they bring you our Tuesday shows. Daryl's at 225-268-6915. Again, it's in the 225 area code, 268-6915. You can also call Trusty Properties directly at 225-766-6112. It's Daryl May and Trusty Properties. It's a name you can trust. We'll move forward here talking a little bit of Saints. There's one thing that I've absolutely drawn from the first week of Saints camp. I'll tell you about it next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Parish Construction and Roofing.
This is Coach Kim Mulkey. Go to parishbuilt.com for all of your roofing needs.
From your hometown, parishbuilt.com.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Glenn West will be along in 15 minutes talking Tigers. LSU reports to camp here in a matter of hours at this point. It is officially time to put on the shoulder pads for the Fighting Tigers as they were in the football operations building getting fitted earlier today. So quite literally putting on the helmets, pads, gloves, all that, getting ready for their first day of practice. And we'll be out there as quickly as they let us. We haven't gotten the schedule out there yet, but I'm assuming that we'll be out there on Thursday morning. That's a guess because I haven't seen the schedule yet, but that's my assumption at this point. Let's talk some Saints. This early in camp, you got to be careful. Like, it's fun to start making huge generalizations and forecasting breakout stars and making prognostications, and that's a blast. But you got to be careful, right? Because there's just so little that's going on. When they're out there in T-shirts and shoulder pads, there's not a ton that can be gleaned. They're learning where to be, acclimating to the heat, understanding terminology, figuring out a lot of things chemistry-wise. Then they put the pads on for the first day, and you saw a little bit more physicality yesterday. But there's not a ton you can glean that you know. But one of the things that I've kept tabs on via the reports and feel comfortable in saying is that they are committed at this point to making this a quarterback competition. As me covering the Saints and you listening as Saints fans, you have not seen something like this in decades where you are actually handicapping a true quarterback competition. Taysom was, but was he? And, last year you were looking at Hayner and Rattler, but that's as a backup. And do you even know if they're your franchise? this is a new dynamic with a quarterback that's the highest selected quarterback in 50 years since Archie Manning, and then another quarterback who's got some talent and started some games last year. And we know that the hit rate on quarterbacks isn't very high, so you want to make sure you're giving everybody every opportunity you can to be a hit. And it would be easy for Kellen Moore to come in and say, hey, Spencer, appreciate you being here. I want you to work really hard. We're going to work with you. But we took Shuck, and we're going to develop him, so just get your reps when you can. Like, it would be easy to do that, but that's not been the approach thus far at all. Spencer Rattler took the first reps the first day for seniority. And then if you just look at yesterday's reps, first time in pads, Tyler Shuck, 22, Spencer Rattler, 20. And then if you look at it for the totality of the passing attempts in practice, like Shuck's thrown 41, Rattler's thrown 57. So they are very truly making this a competition. You can have your thoughts on who's going to win it or not, and you could say, well, they drafted Shuck like they're gonna give him the football. And that may be true. Like, he may be the starting quarterback, and they may really think that in the back of their mind. But if they knew that, wouldn't he be getting 65, 70% of the reps? If they knew that? I tend to think so. As a rookie, like, if you want to rest Drew Brees in year 14 because, he's recovering from an ankle issue, yeah, give the other guy a bunch of reps. But in this case, like, I need to get my starting quarterback reps if I know who he is. And I just don't think they know. I think they are truly opening this up. And Ross Jackson is doing an awesome job over at LouisianaSports.net at keeping a running total on these two guys. And Tyler Shuck is 24 of 41 with 3 touchdowns through the first week. So, and Spencer Rattler is 40 of 57 with 6 passing touchdowns. He's run for 2 more. He's also thrown 2 interceptions. So they are very much getting all of these young quarterbacks repetitions daily. And they're not playing favorites. And I think that's a good idea. I think you've got so much time in an NFL training camp that taking things slowly and observing all your options is a very good thing. We cover 2 teams here. We cover LSU, which it feels like a long time to get ready for that first game, but it's really not. Like, you start August 1, we'll call it. Maybe it's July 30, but August 1, you're playing at the end of August. The Saints report in mid-July, and they don't play till the second week of September. So it's a different ramp up. LSU's got to get their guys in and go. The Saints have time. So it's just we're covering 2 teams. It's a different way to look at the 2 buildups. And the Saints will get preseason games on television, and LSU will scrimmage behind closed doors, and we'll get a little better feel for what the Saints are doing in their scrimmage settings and their preseason settings than what LSU's doing. But to me, while the media is allowed out there at Saints camp and is able to chart these and watch who's working with the 1s and watch who's working with the 2s and watch who's getting more throws and who's getting less throws, it is evident that through the first week of camp, they are making this an even battle. When you listen and read to folks that are there each and every day, like, I'm not counting on Kellen Moore to give me a lot of juice on the quarterback competition in an interview setting, in a press conference setting. Like, that's not going to happen. The best information you're going to get is from the opinion of those that are covering the team. But when I look at it, like, I favor Shuck, but I think to dismiss Rattler would be a little bit premature. Like, if you made me handicap it today, I would say 70-30 Shuck will be the starter in the first game, barring any sort of injury or big-time setback in training camp. I would say 70-30. But that leaves a 30% chance. 30% chance is not insignificant. I thought Rattler last year was okay in massively adverse circumstances, and that's why I've consistently talked about putting these young quarterbacks in an ecosystem that is conducive to development. And they're going to do the best they can. Last year, when you get in the middle of the season and you're throwing a quarterback in there and your whole wide receiving core is hurt and your whole offensive line is hurt, like, there's just not a lot you can do. But right now, the Saints have a healthy front 5. The Saints have a healthy wide receiver unit. The Saints have a healthy and deep in terms of options running back group. When you run through Kamara and you run through Kendre Miller and Clyde's still there and you bring in Cam Akers, and like they've got bodies at running back as well. So right now, it's about as healthy as this organization is capable of making it right now. And to me, that gives you the best opportunity to observe what these guys are. I'm not going to hold Spencer Rattler playing behind a duct tape offensive line, throwing to Bub Beans and whoever else is out there. Like, I'm not holding that against him. I would much rather see what he does in this setting when you do have the offensive line healthy and you do have Olave and Shaheed, you do have healthy Kamara. Like, that's a more beneficial environment for a quarterback to be in. So I'm not going to dismiss Rattler based on last year, but I am going to give Shuck the advantage based on him being drafted by this staff this year. But I'm going to continue to read and to monitor how many reps these guys get. And again, you're looking at Shuck completing somewhere in the neighborhood of 55% of his throws for 3 touchdowns. You're looking at Rattler completing somewhere in the neighborhood of 65% of his throws, 6 touchdowns, 2 rushing with those 2 interceptions. Nobody's made a big leap. Nobody has completely imploded. Rattler's made more plays and made more mistakes. Shuck has been a little bit more consistent, if not massively exciting with the reps that he's put in thus far. So I'm not going to draw much more than that. I'm going to stop right there and not tell you, yep, Shuck's the guy, or Rattler's surging. Rattler was the first guy to take the snaps. No, I'm going to leave it right there, where I just think, okay, based on a week's worth, not one practice, not okay, Spencer Rattler went out there and was the first rep guy the first day. No, we've gone beyond that. We've now gone through the padded practices, a padded practice. We've gone through a walkthrough, gone through the 7-on-7 drills, looked at first team, look at second team. They're clearly performing better with the first team than they do the second team. That gets a little hairy with the offensive line up front. But I think that this is really a competition right now. Maybe that changes after a week and a half and the reps start to really shift, and I think that would be a good thing if they do either way. But right now, I think they're running neck and neck at this point. Just my 2 cents. And in reading what we have from the folks down there that are covering things in New Orleans, Sharif Ishak will be here in an hour, and we'll get his thoughts on whether or not he thinks this is truly a competition at this point, as he's been watching the black and gold all week long. All right, if you're looking for Saints coverage, check it out, LouisianaSports.net for free. Ross's practice reports are incredibly detailed, incredibly thorough, and you're going to get another one from their walkthrough today. And then you can find my stuff, Hunt on Saints on Twitter, Hunt on Saints on YouTube, or wherever you find your podcast, Hunt on Saints. All right, when we come back, we'll talk to Glenn West, all things Tigers, next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is that website. Anywhere you are in the state of Louisiana, Jonathan Carver and his team are based right here in Baton Rouge, can help you out. They're an independent broker. What does that mean? It means they've got contracts with dozens of markets that are happy to place your policy. So they can shop around and make sure that you've got the best coverage and that you're paying the correct price. That's their promise to you. They will also tell you that, hey, they're going to audit your policy for free. Doesn't cost you anything for them to go in and do what you don't really want to do and read that entire policy language and look at the exclusions and look at some of the contingencies that are in place. And if you've got some corners that have been cut to save you a buck here or there so that your agent could win the business, but it's going to hurt you if a storm rolls through, if you have a cyber attack or a bad car accident, you won't know about that until it actually happens, unless you let the folks at the Highland Insurance Group come audit what you've got. Let them do that. Make sure your program is in the right spot. It's the Highland Insurance Group. You can find them online at HighlandIG.com. That's HighlandIG.com.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $22,500 off MSRP on the brand new 2025 Ram 1500 Laramie with $22,500 off MSRP with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty that comes with all new Bayou Automotive vehicles. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
We're Rev Business, a local provider with nearly 90 years of experience. So when it comes to business in Louisiana, we know that personalized service is key. And we're here to go the extra mile with all fiber solutions that deliver what every business needs: reliability and quality. We're not just providers. We're the local team dedicated to helping you succeed. True partnerships are homegrown. Rev Business, internet, phone, managed services. Visit us at letsrev.biz.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Parish Construction and Roofing.
This is Coach Kim Mulkey. Go to parishbuilt.com for all of your roofing needs.
From your hometown, parishbuilt.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Tuesday shows brought to you by Daryl May of Trusty Properties. You can check them out at trustyproperties.com. Looking for land for a hunting camp, looking for land for False River Home, looking for land in Mississippi build on. Daryl May got you covered over at Trusty Properties. All right, Glenn West joins us, senior writer over at Go 24/7. Good enough to join us each and every Tuesday. He does so on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Glenn, how we doing?
Doing great, Hunt. Just bought myself a new tube of the SPF 55 ready for fall camp. So we're hopefully we'll get a couple accesses this week.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of waiting for the old schedule to pop out. I told my wife that I would have one in short order because we're thinking if we're going to go to the North Shore to play golf and hang out with some people on Sunday. And I don't know if there's a practice I need to get covered, but I'm assuming that will show up at some point. But we'll see.
Yeah.
I'm curious where you're headed when we eventually do get out there.
Yeah, I think for me, the offensive line is probably going to be one of the first things you look at just in terms of who's starting. Are they going to keep the same kind of 5-man group that they had back in the spring? Just a quick refresher for those who maybe kind of missed it or just haven't been up to tune, or just it's been a while since we've been out there. So Tyree Adams, Paul Mubenga, DJ Chester, Cohen Eccles, Weston Davis. That was a pretty popular 5-man group that LSU rolled out there, but I would assume guys like Josh Thompson, Braylon Moore, Carius Kern, maybe even Solomon Thomas can weasel their way into the first team reps here early in fall camp and see if they can't try to earn some spots with the first or second team. So I just think there's so many options that LSU can go there. They have no shortage of talent. It's just about finding the right 5 that are going to play the best against Clemson, and I think the next 4 or 5 weeks will give us a clearer understanding of what that looks like. And then, obviously the defensive side of the ball, there's a lot of things to really look for just in terms of the secondary and couple new pieces that they're implementing in Bernard Gooden and AJ Halsey, who we haven't been able to see yet. Does a a new face kind of crack the cornerback rotation, whether it's DJ Pickett or PJ Woodland or Jakeem Jackson, or one of those guys maybe pop next to Monster Delane. So a lot of questions for sure, and a lot of things that LSU will want to figure out. But this is going to be a really interesting and fun fall camp experience, I think.
You kind of ran the gamut there. Let's go back to offensive line. DJ Chester, your thoughts on his redshirt freshman season and what you think is in store for him this year?
Yeah, I mean, certainly some bumps and bruises along the way for DJ last year with that full-time center position, but thought he came back and looked pretty good at center in spring, and certainly you can use any kinds of flaws or tough experiences to your advantage the next season if you work hard enough. And everything that I know and have heard about him is that he's a very hard worker. He's very bright. We've talked to him a couple different times in the media going back to last year, and somebody that I think is really working to improve on some of his maybe deficiencies or weaknesses that he had last year. I do think that guard is a spot for him that will be explored a little bit more here in fall camp. We brought in a veteran center in Braylon Moore. I would imagine LSU gives him some kind of first team reps in fall camp and seeing what that looks like with Chester and him at guard. So yeah, I think that's going to be something that's explored here. But I think, look, Chester is a really solid athlete. He's obviously a huge human being and a guy that LSU needs to really take that next step for them to be the kind of offense they want to be next year.
And then some of the other names you mentioned more just then, but Josh Thompson and Carius Kern's also interesting for different reasons than Thompson. Do you think that either one of those two guys cracks into the top 5 before Clemson?
Yeah, I could see a scenario where both of those guys crack into the top 5. I mean, you could certainly have a situation where it's Tyree Adams at left tackle, DJ Chester at left guard, Braylon Moore at center, Josh Thompson at right guard, Weston Davis at right tackle. You could also slide in Carius Kern at left guard or left tackle. I mean, that's where he's basically been playing for most of the offseason, is the left side of the ball. So, yeah, I think Carius Kern's going to have, a lot to say about this. He's somebody that I asked Garrett Nussmeier about back at SEC Media Days, and he talked really glowingly about Carius Kern and just the work ethic he's had in the weight room and the progress that he's already seen him make during his first offseason with the program. So I could certainly see a situation where Carius Kern takes one of those 5 spots, and then Josh Thompson is a guy that has some versatility. I think could play right guard or right tackle for LSU. Just based off of what Coach Kelly has told us publicly, it sounds like Weston Davis has a pretty good handle on right tackle going into fall camp. So maybe right guard is the position that you look at Josh Thompson at first. And so they brought these 2 veterans, Braylon Moore and Josh Thompson, in not to sit them on the bench. They're going to try to give them every opportunity to win those 2 jobs on the inside, and LSU needs that. They need a couple veterans and guys with playing experience at the collegiate level and have good size and good experience at this level. So those are 2 guys that I think are really going to show LSU this fall camp what they're made of.
1 to 10, what's your confidence level in the LSU offensive line for the Clemson game?
It's a tough one because I think the Clemson defensive line is probably the toughest front that LSU will face all season, and so when you have to do that the first game of the year with a group that's pretty much being put together in one off season, that's not the easiest thing to do. I would probably sit right in the middle right now at a 5 or a 6. I mean, there's still a lot that has to be figured out there on the offensive line, and I just don't think we've seen enough from that group. You go back to the spring, I thought the edge rushers dominated the spring and were really, really good. Those are all veteran guys who've had a lot of experience in Peyton and Pyburn and Jamari Butler. And those are the same kind of players that they're going to be facing week 1 against that Clemson front. So, that's not to say that they won't go out there and hold their own, in a month's time when that game's ready to kick off. But I think there's just still a little bit too much up in the air to have, a ton of confidence that it's going to be smooth sailing for the offensive line in that first game.
All right, I'm going to ask kind of a long question here, which you're not supposed to do, but I'm going to do it anyway. So is there a chance that because the coaching staff may feel like you and I do, where the offensive line could be a little bit shaky, that they've got enough time to plan for that? Like, it's tough to plan for Will Campbell and Emory Jones and Garrett Dellinger not really being able to push USC around. Like, you would have thought they were going to go up there and do that, and they couldn't. Is there a thought that maybe that could be an advantage? Like, hey, they know that they're going to have to do some things a little bit differently, so they can be prepared if Clemson's tough to block.
Well, I think what really benefits the LSU offense here is that they have a lot of really speedy weapons and a lot of guys that they can get the ball out to quickly. They have a lot of size. I'm not sure you're going to see a ton of play action, but yeah, I do think it's something that you can prepare for a little bit better. Take out some of maybe the more slower developing plays and just try to do quick hitters and just try to get yourself off to a good rhythm early in the game. And that's something that you saw even in that first drive against USC. I think LSU went all the way down to the field and they couldn't punch it in on 4th and goal or something like that. But they were very meticulous about their drive, and I think that was a 10 or 11 play drive or something like that. So, you look at kind of the just the quick hitters, the guys and the athletes that LSU has at its disposal, and I think you can still have success offensively in this game, even if you are a little bit concerned about the offensive line holding up. So it's just going to be about like you said, planning far in advance about what you like about this team, what you like about this offense, and what you think you can have some success with against Clemson.
As far as the running back group goes, running behind that line, how do you feel about the talent and the depth, both of them?
Yeah, Caden Durham's an all SEC caliber player. If he stays healthy this year, if he gets 15, 16, 17 touches a game, he could very well, eclipse 1,000 yards and be, one of the more dynamic runners, I think, in this conference. He's got that potential in him. I think the bigger question for me is just kind of how they complement him with those guys. Caleb Jackson, Harlan Berry, JT Lindsey. Jackson's a guy that we talked to back in the spring and said he's trying to shed some weight. He thought he got maybe a little too big last year, and you could certainly see that maybe in his performance. And so he's going to get back to that 220 to 225 range that he was as a true freshman that we saw, and where he was, a very explosive back for LSU in pretty much every game that he played in. So I think he's going to have a role. I think Harlan Berry is a guy, just in watching him and during these summer camps and in the off season, things of that nature. He's added a lot of upper body mass to his frame, and just watching him or just walking out there in summer camp and watching him, he was somebody that really stood out to me in terms of the amount of effort and just what he's put into his body in the weight room. So I think he's somebody that's going to have a role, whether it's in the passing game, check down, screen game. He's an explosive athlete that you're going to want to get out on the perimeter and have him make guys miss, and he's got that potential in his game as well. So I think those two, Jackson and Berry, are the ones that we've seen so far that I could see, complementing what Durham is able to do. And I think Lindsey's the guy that has a lot of long-term potential with him and Berry in that backfield. So it's a good group. It's it's one that can't afford too many injuries, but if those guys stay healthy and they keep them all in check, then they're all going to have their opportunities to feed in this offense, I think.
We can be on the balcony when they let us in. Are we down on the field level? What are your thoughts on where we get to stand this time around? Seems to change.
I'd like to be on the field, kind of change it up a little bit. I was getting a little, tired of the balcony towards the end there, but I have a feeling that they're going to keep it where it was in the spring. It's just my educated guess.
All right, we'll see you out there whenever they let us go. We'll appreciate some time.
All right, thanks, Hunt. Appreciate you.
Glenn West, senior writer at Go 24/7, good enough to chat with us on Tuesday. It's kind of a musical, like for the entirety of the Les era and the Ogeron era, the media was on one sideline where if they were on, there's 4 fields out there. If they were on the 2 closest, you'd get a pretty good look. If they went to the other fields, it was a little tougher. But they let us kind of roam that sideline freely. And then once all of a sudden, they kind of put us up on this new balcony, and it gets a little crowded, and there are some fields that are really far away. And it's just like, not that y'all are crying for us watching football practice for work, but I will say I'm trying to give you some stuff, and there are times where they go to the field two away, and they're doing like a 11 on 11. I can't see squat over there. I don't know who's playing right tackle. They're 185 yards away. Like, I don't know what's going on. So we'll see. It's hard for me to relay quality content when there's a 21-person mosh pit 155 yards away from me, and I'm standing on a second floor balcony trying to crane my neck around Cobble and Jacques' cameras around there. It could be a tough chore, all right? I'm sure you all feel really bad for us. We'll see where they send us later on this week, but we'll see Glenn out there, and we appreciate a little bit of time here on this Tuesday. We'll step aside, come back, close it out. Josh Pearson penned a very nice letter for LSU. I'll give you some of my thoughts on his awesome 4-year career when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is the website. Every car that is on the lot is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. If I'm talking to you and you're driving around, the odds are you're probably not behind the wheel of a Genesis, and the odds are you've never been behind the wheel of a Genesis. Change that. Whenever it is that you're in the market for a new vehicle, whether that's with school coming up and you want to get behind the wheel of a new ride, if you're thinking about maybe first of the year, your lease is about up, just give Genesis a shot. No matter if you're looking for the sedan, you're looking for an SUV, they've got something to fit your needs over at Genesis, and every single detail is going to be meticulously taken care of for you at Genesis of Baton Rouge. Their warranties are awesome. I've been telling you for over a year about their 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, and that's industry leading. It's the powertrain warranty. It's phenomenal. But they've also got a couple of really, really impressive warranties that I haven't told you about because they're fairly new. 5 years, 60,000 miles bumper to bumper. 5 years, 60,000 miles bumper to bumper. Roadside assistance is included. We're talking about the only fully exclusive Genesis dealer in the state. So get behind the wheel of the GV80, maybe the GV80 Coupe. Get those low APR options they've got available for you at Genesis of Baton Rouge. They're on Airline at PQ. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge. You can always start that buying process online. GenesisofBatonRouge.com.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
When it comes to industrial construction, River Parish Contractors can do it all. Mechanical, structural, custom fabrication, specialized welding, and turnaround services. Strategically located in between Baton Rouge and New Orleans, we have the local team with the experience and commitment to safety to manage the most complex industrial projects. Period. Here's the deal. Partnering with us means your project is delivered on time, on budget, and most important, safely. River Parish Contractors, let's get building.
You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe. My whole team on wild.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
At Sunshine, we know what you see when you look at your land. Where others may see dirt, you see the foundation you've built your life on. This, it's hallowed ground. It's past, present, and future. We're proud to provide quality John Deere equipment to help you maintain the land you love. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief: our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Tuesday shows brought to you by Daryl May from Trusty Properties. Looking to get into new land. That's in Point Capee. Feliciana is up in Mississippi. Daryl May at Trusty Properties can help you with that. Josh Pearson pinned his thank you LSU note on social media earlier today. It started with, I thank God every day for blessing me with the opportunity to be a Tiger. I grew up praying that one day I would be able to put on that LSU uniform and go represent the state of Louisiana. Went on to thank his mom and dad, his siblings, girlfriend. Said, I'm going to miss all the time spent in the locker room with my teammates, showing up a few hours early just to sit around and hang out. Will always be some of my favorite times at LSU. He thanked his coaches and then said, Tiger fans, thank you all so much for making these past 4 years the best of my life. From sticking it out through the long rain delays to buying all the Jell-O shots in Omaha. You guys always made it easy to go out there and compete. I could have never imagined I'd be leaving LSU as a two-time national champion. Excited and looking forward to the next chapter of my life, whatever that may be, is what Josh Pearson had to say at LSU. You know, it struck me when Pearson got a standing ovation in his final at bat. It was in the Super Regional. LSU had a big lead. He had not started that game. He came in and pinch hit and actually struck out on 3 pitches. And later on, Jake Brown, who he pinch hit for, said, I don't think I've ever seen anybody get a standing ovation for striking out on 3 pitches. But Pearson did. And usually those standing ovations are reserved for All-Americans and future first-round draft picks. And Pearson's neither one of those. He didn't get drafted in the 20-round draft and was never an All-American in his 4 years. But he did have an ability to make a big swing in a big spot. He was an all-regional selection 3 of his 4 years at LSU. He hit 6 NCAA tournament home runs, 2 of them in the 2023 College World Series. Hit a grand slam in the 2025 Super Regional against West Virginia. For 4 years, he finished with a .399 on-base percentage, hit 27 home runs. And, of course, probably the most indelible moment of Pearson's career is none of those home runs that he hit, but more importantly, the catch he made on Wyatt Langford's line drive down into left field in the game 1 against Florida, where if he doesn't catch that ball, doesn't get the read off the bat and make that play in left field, that game's over and LSU loses, and you saw how game 2 went. So you needed to win game 1, and Pearson's play out in left field did that. And so Josh Pearson leaves LSU as an incredibly decorated player in terms of postseason accomplishment, not necessarily the most statistically jawing resume that you've ever seen from an LSU player, but he just kind of gave you solid play. He played really good defense. One thing that I think that a lot of people don't give Josh credit for is his speed. He runs really well. He doesn't have a huge arm. He's not overly big, but he plays really good defense because he gets good reads and he runs really well. And he hit the ball out of the ballpark a little bit. He had some huge swings when LSU had to have them. And he also, and this is really important, never batted an eye about the role he was asked to play over the 4 years. He broke into the starting lineup in Jay Johnson's first year as a freshman and was a stalwart on that team late. It was obviously a team that was led by Cruz and led by Morgan and led by Jordan Thompson and Dugas and those guys. No, Dugas wasn't as much on that team. Yeah, he was. No, Dugas wasn't as much on that team. He was the next year. Dugas didn't play a ton on that team. But Pearson was a big piece to that. Then he came back his sophomore year when they won the title, and they were doing a lot of shuffling around. Like Dugas played a little bit in the outfield, and he came into the infield, and Tommy White got hurt, and they had to move some pieces around, and then Trey Morgan went into the outfield, and then he came back in, and they were deciding whether or not they could put Jared Jones out there, and then they basically settled on the fact that, hey, Pearson is going to play most of the time in left field. And so he won out in that long battle. And then you've got the team from this past year where you decided, hey, we've got Fry, and now he's got to play every day, and want to get Brown at bat, so he's going to play against right-handers, and hey, we still got to see what Ashton Larson's got, and like there were a lot of musical chairs there, and Pearson didn't bat an eye at that either. And every great LSU team in all the sports always has some guys on the team that are okay with the reduced role, that don't have to hit third, that don't have to lead the team in catches, that don't have to be the guy that leads the team in scoring in the PMAC. Like, you've got somebody who's just willing to be a role guy. And Josh Pearson on these teams has always been willing to be a role guy. And then when his role was asked to produce, he did. He never hit 340. He never hit 20 homers, but he just always gave you pretty good effort, and he played good defense, and he never complained about it. And so that's going to likely be Josh Pearson's legacy, and that's why he got that ovation in the box in his last game. And so Josh Pearson will always be able to come back to Alec Box and look at that intimidator in right field and go, there's two of mine right there. And it's not like he was, on the bench for either. Like, he was very much involved in the 2023 team in Omaha. He didn't play in the championship series in 2025, but certainly hit a grand slam in the Super to get him there and was a big piece to the team that won that 8th national championship in program history. So we'll see what's next for Josh Pearson. He could sign an undrafted free agent deal or decide to go get a job. Either way, you can't take those two national champions and that standing ovation away from him. And he thanked the entire LSU baseball program, including the fans, today on social media, which I thought was cool. Jay Johnson responded, "One of the most important players of my entire coaching career. Clutch gene like no other. So many big hits. Elite teammate. Two-time national champion. Winner. Thank you, JP. 4 years of ultimate reliability. Hard to picture LSU baseball without you." So we'll take a timeout. Come back. Hour 2. Talk football on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Flight by Yingling is raising the bar by crafting the next generation of light beer. With only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories, this is premium refreshment 6 generations in the making. Flight by Yingling. Raise the bar.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $22,500 off MSRP on the brand new 2025 Ram 1500 Laramie with $22,500 off MSRP with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty that comes with all new Bayou Automotive vehicles. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell, in a memo to staff, said there will be increased security at the league's offices in the days and weeks to come following yesterday's deadly shooting at a Manhattan office building. The shooter had targeted the headquarters of the NFL, but took the wrong elevator. A note in the shooter's wallet suggested he had a grievance against the NFL over a claim he suffered from CTE. What happened yesterday at the forefront of the minds of many at training camps today, including Jets head coach Aaron Glenn.
The thing that happened yesterday at the league office, man, just as an organization, our thoughts and prayers go out to all the families. It's always tough to hear things like that and really to try to stay focused, but you have to because you have a job to do. But you think about the families that go through that, and it's tough.
Jets head coach Aaron Glenn. Jets QB Justin Fields today expressing relief the toe injury he sustained last week was not major. Baseball barring a major comeback, the AL East leading Blue Jays appear on their way to a third straight loss. They trail the Orioles 10-3, bottom 7.
Hey, it's Michelle Smallman, and coming up Wednesday, we continue our ESPN Radio Rankem series with my bottom 5 worst teams in the NFL. It's on Sportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2, Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Daryl May with Trusty Properties. Got a lot to do here. Sharif Ishak in 30 minutes talking Saints. We're starting with LSU and the in-depth chart. Been working through this feature day by day as I've done it on LouisianaSports.net every day. About 8 o'clock, got 3 more to go. We tackled the edge position today on in-depth chart. And I'll just say this to begin the segment. I think this group is awesome. I think they have put together a difference-making group.
The best position group, is it perhaps?
I'm gonna rank those at the end of this feature.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry.
I haven't done it yet in my head. I just decided that's what I'm going to do. Edge will be in the discussion with wide receiver.
I mean, I guess you could say quarterback, but I mean, it's tough to say quarterback because it's really just,
and those are the 3 that'll be in the discussion, and we'll see. I think it's possible. It could be first. And you look at it, and part of the reason is the talent they've acquired. Part of the reason is what Kevin Peoples showed me last year. He took Braden Swinson and Savion Jones, who Savion had played 3 years at LSU, and Braden Swinson had played 4 years at Oregon and LSU total. And Swinson had 2 sacks. In his first year at LSU, his career total was 5. Savion Jones had 4.5 sacks and 3.5 tackles for loss. These guys were not productive players. And they became a fierce edge duo. Swinson was one of the better pass rushers in the SEC. Savion Jones went in the 3rd round of the Broncos. It is almost inarguable to me that Kevin Peoples' impact on those 2 guys was substantial. And then you look at the talent level that they've got on this team. And if he can get a similar jump in production from these guys, look out. Because you lose Swinson and Jones. Paris Shand moves on through graduation as well. He signed with the Bills. And then Deshaun Womack transfers to Ole Miss. So that's what you lost from edge. But Gabriel Elliford's back. Dylan Carpenter's back. Kalaj Cobbins is back. C.J. Jackson is back. Those guys were on last year's roster. Relaford is the only one that really played, but you have 3 other guys that you bring back into the fold. And then you go get Jamari Butler and Patrick Payton and Jack Pyburn from the portal, all Power 4 transfers, all impactful players last year at their former stop. And you also bring in Damian Shanklin as a true freshman, top player in the state of Indiana, 4-star edge rusher, 6'5", 260, and a guy that the staff really likes from his early enrollment. So what do we know about this group? Well, Jack Pyburn, we already know, is more than capable of lining up on an SEC edge and knocking a tackle right in the teeth and going to tackle a running back. He's a relentless competitor, a relentless worker, bit of a crazy person on the field. And he was productive last year at Florida. 60 tackles from the edge. Savion Jones had a third-round draft pick season. He made 40 tackles. Pyburn made 60. Now, you look at Pro Football Focus, 78.9 against the run. That's excellent. He was over a 75 against LSU and Ole Miss. And if you look at his last 7 games of the season, he was only credited with 1 missed tackle for Pro Football Focus. He's an excellent SEC run defender. But you also have to give the other side. He has 1 career sack at Florida in 29 games. 1, playing the edge. Now, reportedly, Pyburn left Florida because they didn't feel like they were going to play him a lot on third downs. And while it's incredibly helpful in winning games for you to line up in first and second down and make 60 tackles against the run, like that helps teams win, it doesn't get you paid. And if Pyburn wants to be a substantial NFL draft pick that gets a nice signing bonus and a real chance to make a roster, he's going to have to play some on third downs. And if Florida wasn't going to give him that option, which that's not me saying that, that's Matt had a Gator guest on his show when Pyburn transferred, and that was the inclination from Gainesville. Well, here's an opportunity. And we talked to Jack Pyburn in the spring, and he said, I work with Kevin Peoples every day. I do pass rush moves around my kitchen table all day. Like, he is committed to being a better pass rusher, and his upside is huge. Then you look at, speaking of upside, Patrick Payton. And this is a guy, and I've used this statistic a lot, but we're easing back into football, and many of you may have forgotten it or didn't hear it the first time. But he had 16 sacks and 31.5 tackles for loss in 40 games at Florida State. If you want to put that in perspective, Kiki Mingo at LSU also played 40 games. He had 15 sacks, 1 fewer than Payton, and 29 TFLs, 2.5 fewer than Payton in his 40 games. So Payton has the size, 6'6", and the production of Kiki Mingo in the ACC. Now, you can look at Payton and go, okay, well, he had 14.5 tackles for loss 2 years ago, and then last year it went down to 11. He had 7 sacks 2 years ago. It went down to 4, and that's fair. He had 10 pass breakups 2 years ago, none this past year. All that's fair. Like, his production across the board dropped last year. But I also want to throw in the caveat here that the year prior, he was on a 13-0 team that should have gone to the playoffs. This past year, they were 2-10. When you face 90 fewer pass attempts, because you're always losing, it's harder to rack up sack numbers. So there are some that have questioned Payton's motor, some that have questioned the drop-off in production, and all that is what it is. But you can't take the entirety of his career there at Florida State and do anything but go, that guy gets a lot of pressure on quarterbacks. He's built like an NFL rusher, and I'm really excited to see what Patrick Payton can do. And then you look at Jamari Butler, who they brought in, and that's a guy who didn't really play football in high school. I didn't realize this, but he played basketball his first 3 years in high school. Well, Jamari Butler's 6'5", 260 now. Not a lot of help you can do on a basketball floor at 6'5", 260. So he played football his senior year, and Nebraska took a chance on him. And I would suggest that chance hit. He's had 48 total pressures over the last 2 years. He's got about a 10.5% pressure rate, and he was productive and physical at Nebraska. So you bring in those 3 guys who are not projects or not, well, you can do it against the FCS. No, these guys did it. Jamari Butler's best game last year was against Ohio State. Pretty good team. 3 TFLs and a sack against the Buckeyes. He can play at that level. Jack Pyburn kicked LSU's teeth in last year for a lot of the game. Patrick Payton has a monster career sack total at Florida State. Like, these guys can play, and you put them with Kevin Peoples, I'm excited about that. I'm also excited about Gabriel Relaford. He didn't get a lot of chance to play last year because Swinson and Jones took most of the reps. Now, Swinson had to sit out the beginning of the Florida game, and Relaford started that game. But you didn't see a ton of production, just half a sack, 10 tackles. But I think a lot of potential. He's big, 6'5", got size, 265. And we talked to him in the spring, and he was like, I was a little surprised when they went and just completely overhauled my position out of the transfer portal, but hey, it's competition. He reassured the media, like, I'm here to fight, here to scrap, here to try to be in the lineup. And I think those 4 guys are your top 4. I think it's Pyburn, Payton, Butler, and Relaford. But I don't think you can completely rule out Dylan Carpenter. And I don't say that because of anything that I've seen. I say that because of things that I've heard. And you listen to LSU offensive linemen talk, and they tell you about Dylan Carpenter at practice. And he's a big old boy. Like, he's 6'4", he's 260 pounds, and he practices really hard too. And you hear about one-on-ones against Dylan Carpenter that are not a lot of fun. And so now he's had 2 years to kind of sit and season, gain some weight, gain some experience, work on his technique. I think he's a factor. And that becomes, to me, your top 6. I don't expect to see a ton from the other guys, Kalaj Cobbins, C.J. Jackson, Damian Shaklin. Cobbins, I will say this, had a really nice early fall camp last year in some of the one-on-ones where he was going against freshmen and sophomore offensive linemen that weren't necessarily Will Campbell or Emory Jones. He won a lot of pass rush reps. He's a little bit undersized at 6'3", 240, but he's a pass rusher. So if Cobbins is in the game, that's a third down type of thing. And so to me, as I handicap this, it would surprise me a little bit if Pyburn didn't start. I think Pyburn's going to be in there. He's super high floor, and I think there's a ceiling there with the pass rush ability. But Pyburn's probably in there to start. I think on the other side to start right now, I would probably favor Butler and Relaford with Payton ready to go in a pass rush spot. Like, that's the way I think it's going to go right now. But they've got depth, they've got experience, they've got talent. And I just think that with Kevin Peoples calling the shots and showing me what he did last year with those 2 guys who, in not a small sample size, a total of 7 years, those 2 guys have not been a big factor in Jones and Swinson. And he got them to be really, really good players. I think at this point, if you look at last year's sack totals, Swinson, Jones, Womack, and Relaford, those 4 who played the most, combined for 14.5 sacks. I think this group and a healthy Perkins, I think you fly by that number, 20, 22, 23 sacks between the lot of them. And LSU last year finished 7th in the SEC in sacks. I see LSU this year in the top 4 in sacks. I think they have created that much talent, and I think they're going to be winning in some games, and I think Peoples is so good that I think they're going to get big sack totals, and they're going to have one of the more feared pass rushes in the SEC. That's just what I see from this group. It would shock me if LSU underperformed at defensive end and on the edge this year. I think that they've got the goods in what they need to be an excellent defensive front. I'm a little concerned about the defensive tackles, and that's because you just don't have a lot of proven commodities there. You do at edge, and I think LSU is going to be great on the defensive ends. If you want to read my entire piece on that, you can over at louisianasports.net. It is, of course, for free. You can read every position preview that we've done. Started at center, went to guard, tackle, tight end, wide receiver, running back, quarterback, defensive tackle, and edge now in the books. I'll do linebackers tomorrow. We'll branch out to cornerbacks on Thursday, and then we'll wrap the week with safeties on Friday. And that'll be it. We'll have access to LSU football practice by that point, so we'll be off and running. But if you want to get your football fix before LSU puts the helmets on, go check it out at louisianasports.net or wherever you find your sound at Hunt on LSU. Step aside, come back. Sharif Ishak in 15 minutes. Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Vaughn and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. You know, as folks age, the bathroom can be a hazardous place. You can't take away that risk completely, but you can mitigate it. Non-slip floors, guardrails near slippery areas, walk-in tubs that are more convenient and safer, showers with benches. All these are things that David Duvall and his team do all the time. So if there's someone in your life who's maybe getting up there in age and you're thinking, might want to try to mitigate a little bit of that risk where a hazard could come up in the bathroom, call David Duvall. Have that free consultation. Just talk to him. Say, hey, here's what I'm thinking. He's happy to give you the advice that he's got, and if you hire him to do the job, he'll do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. Check out the pictures of his great work on the website. Get that free consultation. It's One Bath and Closets. You can find him online at onebathandclosets.com.
Businesses like yours are the soul of our community. You deserve someone who'll deliver the internet services you deserve. That's why local businesses rely on Rev Business, 90 years of building connections. Visit us at letsrev.biz.
Baton Rouge's home for real rock. It's Eagle 98.1. Foo Fighters. Led Zeppelin. AC/DC. Pearl Jam. And the flagship home for LSU sports. Take us anywhere with the Eagle 98.1 app. Eagle 98.1 is the rock station.
River Parish Contractors has immediate openings for structural steel shop fabricators. Call or text Big Jake today at 318-547-1000 or go to rpcontractors.com and click on employment. River Parish Contractors. Let's get building.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar, but instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
At Sunshine, we know what you see when you look at your land. Where others may see dirt, you see the foundation you've built your life on. This, it's hallowed ground. It's past, present, and future. We're proud to provide quality John Deere equipment to help you maintain the land you love. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief: our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Tuesday shows brought to you by Daryl May of Trusty Properties. If you've always dreamed of having your own hunting property, you've always dreamed of having a house on some acreage, always dreamed of having a place on False River, some land up in Mississippi, want to make that a reality, contact Daryl. Daryl has an intimate knowledge of the most premier listings around our state. He's licensed in Louisiana and Mississippi. And if you're looking for 30 acres, that's fine. If you're looking for 300 acres, that's fine. Daryl can handle that. He's been in South Louisiana for his entire life. He understands the ins and outs of the land business here in Louisiana. And if you would like to buy or sell property in Louisiana or Mississippi, Daryl is your guy. He's with Trusty Properties. And I'm going to give you his phone number here. So if this is something that interests you immediately, go ahead and give him a call. You can reach out to Daryl directly and say, hey, heard about you on the Hunt Palmer Show, and I really, really, really am interested in finding some land. And he can help you out with that. He's at 225-268-6915. Again, it's 225-268-6915. Big piece of land, smaller piece of property, lake house, camp house, or property up in Mississippi, Daryl May up at Trusty Properties can help you with that. Trusty Properties, a name you can trust. I did a segment on this last week. And it's a little bit of a rehash here, but we've got a little bit of time before we get to Sharif, and I want to go back over it because obviously not everybody's listening all the time, and I think that it's important to consider everything when stories like these start to percolate, and this one very much is. I think it's vital for the SEC to expand with these ACC defectors. You understand the ACC is doomed to fail. Like, when you've got your flagship institutions, Florida State, Clemson, filing suit against you, you've got North Carolina leaking reports that they've got eyes on the SEC. Like, this is a marriage that is over. There is no saving the ACC. They can try to enforce these exit fees as long as they possibly can and collect the huge cash when these teams ultimately leave, and they can try to scramble and go find Arizona or Cal or whoever they want, but you're not going to be a power league in the way that the Big 12 is no longer a power league, and they're married to this awful grant rights deal and this media rights deal that is just not going anywhere, so the teams and the programs are looking elsewhere. And I understand the SEC fan, the LSU fan that looks at this and says, I don't really want North Carolina. They're not that good at football, and I don't care about them, and I'm already mad that Auburn came off the schedule, and I'm already mad that Mississippi State came off the schedule, and I don't care about playing Missouri and Oklahoma. And, like, I get the people who believe that tradition is the most important thing and that cherish their rivalries and the way things have been for a long time. I get it. But this is no longer, like, fun and games with the cash. Well, how much did the SEC network check come in for? How much did the Big Ten network check come for? And what can you build with the funds from that? A brand new locker room with the sleep pods, and you can redo the tennis facility, and LSU can up in the golf course, and whatever comes into the athletic budget and wherever they want to spend it. Everybody's a little bit different in that perspective. But now the game has changed, and now your revenue stream is vital to paying your players. And if you allow the Big Ten to go get North Carolina and go get Clemson and go get Florida State and go get Miami, and you allow then the Big Ten to own the West Coast with UCLA, USC, Oregon, and Washington, and own the Midwest with Michigan, Ohio State, and Iowa, and Wisconsin, and all that, and then own the East Coast with North Carolina and Clemson, and go up to the schools that are in the Big Ten with Maryland and Penn State and all that, and then you allow them to go down to Tallahassee and down to Miami, they've now become a national conference and can go to the television contract negotiations and say, look, this is what we got now. We got the whole country, so pay up. And that massive revenue stream allows them to pay their athletes more. And if the SEC wants to sit still and say, no, we really like our rivalries, and we want to protect Florida from Florida State, and so we want to protect South Carolina from Clemson, and we want to protect Kentucky from Louisville, and Clemson from South Carolina, and all that. You're going to allow the Big Ten to run laps around you. And this is the analogy I wrote in my column at LouisianaSports.net today, that all of a sudden the Dodgers and the Yankees and the Mets are going to be in Columbus, Ohio, and Ann Arbor, Michigan, and Happy Valley, Pennsylvania, and the Minnesota Twins are going to be in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And I gave the payroll figures. The Dodgers are paying like $340 million for their team this year. The Twins are at like $170, like half. And say all you want about all things that are changing. I hate that. Like, if you want to win games and you want to get players that can win games, you have to bring money in. The revenue has to come in. And if that means you've got to go get North Carolina and get Clemson and get Florida State and get Miami, and if Duke and NC State have to come to whatever, you don't want to have so many pieces to the pie that it gets diluted and the revenue share is not good enough to the programs before it goes to the players. But that's what the business people are here to make work. The SEC has to do this for the livelihood of the universities and athletic departments in the league. You have to continue to increase revenue streams. And I've said this a lot, and this is not a right or wrong thing. This is purely a feeling. But, like, I wasn't less excited for the last game of the year last year when Oklahoma came out of the tunnel in Tiger Stadium as opposed to Auburn. I didn't think LSU's game in Kyle Field at A&M lacked the punch that a game with Florida or Auburn would have. That was the two teams who were unbeaten, or with one loss and unbeaten in SEC play. And, well, they were unbeaten in SEC to that point. And you had a packed house of 105,000, and it was raucous. And that'll be the case when LSU plays Oklahoma. That'll be the case when you got good football teams. And to have good football teams, you need the money. So you need the new additions to add the television markets to your footprint to then drive up the TV revenue. That's the easiest way to drive the revenue up. So, no, like, North Carolina's not been great at football. And sorry to those teams that have an ACC school in their state that we've promised not to join forces with. But at this point, you just have to do it. You have to do it. Because if you allow the Big Ten to do it, they will lap you financially. And you'll still have better weather, and you'll still have great tradition, and you'll still have better geographic recruiting footprint. But ultimately, money will erode the talent advantage. It will. Because you watch Major League Baseball, and the teams that spend the money generally win. The White Sox don't spend any money. They don't win. The A's don't spend any money. They don't win. The Dodgers spend the most money. They win. The Yankees spend a ton of money. They win. The Mets just started spending money. They're winning. It's almost a direct correlation. Yes, the A's have done more with less. Yes, the Padres have spent a ton and not gotten out of neutral. But he who has the gold generally makes the rules. And so I'm willing to sacrifice some of the annual rivalries. They don't go away completely, but some of the annual rivalries, like LSU has done with Auburn the last 2 years, if it means you can keep up with the Big Ten in terms of paying players. Just in, Bryce Underwood, Michigan. Elijah Haven, story on 3, looking at Michigan. One of those guys is from right outside Ann Arbor. One of those guys is from right outside Baton Rouge. But the money talks. So to me, this is a no-brainer. I love LSU Auburn. I love LSU Florida, the memories I have of those games. But I'm more concerned, as you well know, with LSU keeping up and winning games. And to do that, you need the money. To get the money, you need the bigger conferences, the better TV deals, and the SEC needs to step on that and get to going on the ACC. We'll see just how that shakes out over time. All right, we'll step aside when we come back. Sharif Ishak from Saints Camp next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is that website. Every car that is on the lot is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. Most folks now, before they ever get behind the wheel of a car as a test drive, are going to start online. And that's okay at Genesis of Baton Rouge. They would love for you to do that. Go to GenesisofBatonRouge.com and see the whole inventory. If you'd like to test drive a vehicle, they've got great sales staff that'll hop in the car. They'll come to you, whether it's at work, whether it's at home, or you can go to them. You can walk the lot, see the phenomenal service that they've got there, the facility they've got there, and the line of vehicles, which is second to none. Phenomenal warranties, excellent vehicles, and all of the models. IIHA top safety picks, all of them. Some of them top safety picks plus. Some of the safest cars on the road, some of the most stylish cars on the road, some of the sportiest cars on the road. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge. Go by and see them. Check them out online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com.
Construction and Roofing.
This is Coach Kim Mulkey. Go to parishbuilt.com for all of your roofing needs.
From your hometown, parishbuilt.com.
It's not just a game, it's a religion. You've got your team color, team swag, and now your very own website. LouisianaSports.net. Everything LSU, Saints, and Pelicans. Sports on demand. In-depth coverage by sports writing pros with continuously updated news. And with the LouisianaSports.net newsletter, you get pinged directly with top trending stories. Best of all, now and always, no paywall. It's free. LouisianaSports.net. Powered by 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Your home for Louisiana sports.
We're Rev Business, a local provider with nearly 90 years of experience. So when it comes to business in Louisiana, we know that personalized service is key. And we're here to go the extra mile with all fiber solutions that deliver what every business needs: reliability and quality. We're not just providers. We're the local team dedicated to helping you succeed. True partnerships are homegrown. Rev Business, internet, phone, managed services. Visit us at letsrev.biz.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. BRAC, your #1 park system in the nation.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief: our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Fast moving Tuesday show here. Our Tuesday show is brought to you by Daryl May, Trusty Properties. Chatted with Glenn West a little bit earlier, talking Tiger football. Done a lot on LSU, and we've touched on the Saints a couple segments. We'll do so again here with Sharif Shishak, WDSU, who's been out there at Saints practice over the last week. Joins us now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Sharif, how we doing?
Good, man. Today was a good day because we got to be inside. It wasn't a real practice, but, you know, at least we didn't have to be in blazing heat.
That is true, and you take what you can get this time of year covering football because it can be a little toasty outside. I've talked a lot about the quarterback, so let's put that on the back burner for a second. I'll get your thoughts on the end, but let's talk about the guys that put the pads on and got to work yesterday, specifically on the offensive line. What have you seen from Kelvin Banks and maybe even Trevor Penning on the left side?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up Kelvin Banks. Their one-on-ones yesterday were nasty in a good way for Kelvin Banks. I think he put Chris Rump on his rump yesterday. It was a good situation for him. It was a good down, a good rep. I feel like he's playing okay. I mean, he's playing decent. It's just one day in pads because all we ever talk about is how does this defensive line look? How does offensive line look? And the answer you kind of get is wait till we put on the pads. But not just for one practice. You got to see it for multiple practices. But just from when I saw it yesterday, I thought that Carl Granderson and Kelvin Banks looked really, really, really good. And Kelvin's coming along. He's coming along in the offense, playing that left tackle position for a guy who's a rookie. So, I just want to see more, man. I really want to see more. And fans should be super excited to see Kelvin Banks out there playing. I mean, it's a guy who I think is going to form into something really special when it's all said and done for this franchise.
And I tell you, Fuaga spoke to the media today and obviously talked about his move to right tackle from left. What did he have to say?
I just think it's a discussion that they had whenever Kellen Moore took over the job. Like it was like he said, "I'll, like any good player, wherever you want me to play, man, wherever you want me to play."
Yeah.
And he felt like it was a comfortable move. Playing at Oregon State, it's a no-brainer for him. If he played it in college, it's an easier transition for him than to ask Kelvin Banks to go from left tackle, where he just finished playing, to right tackle. So he felt comfortable with it. He's good with it, and I think he's. Once again, early in camp, I think he's done a very good job in playing that, and it's all about foot movement for him. And I think that it's just natural to him to go back to that position, and the footwork has been phenomenal for him. He feels like that's where it's just like riding a bike.
Do you feel like the defensive line got the better of the offensive line in day one in pads? That was kind of the consensus I get from those that were there, but I wanted to ask you.
Absolutely. In team drills, yeah, man. I mean, Carl Granderson was flying around. Carl and Chase Young, man, they were just flying around, disrupting in the backfield. Carl had a punch out, a strip sack early on in the team drills, and I think that, if it goes anything like this, yeah, the offensive line is going to get really challenged, which is a good thing. You want them to be challenged. You don't want it to be easy whenever you have a few moving pieces. You want them to learn going against Carl and Chase and Devon Gottschall, and I think they absolutely won day one, which it's not a bad thing. It really isn't a bad thing. You want to see you do want to see each side competitive. If you see one side winning most of these padded practices, then you might be talking about, all right, there's a problem here. There's a problem with our line, if our defensive line is constantly crushing the offensive line. But I think you're going to see wins from each side. I think that's the competitive balance that you want throughout the training camp when the pads are on.
Do you have a thought on running back, any of them that are out there, whether it's Kamara at the front or all the way to Akers at the back?
If you're asking me who I like, I mean, all right, I'm going to just remove Album from the equation.
Okay.
All right, so I do truly think that Kendre Miller is showing everyone that he is the number 2 running back. He looks good, feels good. His head's on straight. I mean, the new coaching staff has done a lot for him. It feels like the energy is very positive for him, and I think that he's shown it on the field. I think he's looked good. I mean, his body's in great shape, and he's running well, running fast, side to side. So, that's the guy that we probably need to keep an eye on more than anyone, because we talked a lot about him last year on your show, Hunt. Is this going to finally be the year for him? Will this finally be the situation for him to finally show up and be that number 2 running back? And I think up to this point, it's been it looked fairly well for him.
All right, let's go to quarterback. I won't bury that lead anymore. I'll leave it open-ended. Your observations after a week.
I think that Spencer Rattler's ahead of Tyler Struck by a good bit, in my opinion. I think that he is, and it's rightfully so, because he started 6 games and played 7 last year. And, I would think that's a big reason why that's, been the case for Spencer Rattler. Struck is making some progress, but there are times when I'm like, man, you got to pull the trigger. A lot of us media members have been talking about, why is he not letting it rip? Why is he not going down the field more? It's been him throwing off his back feet a few times, feeling the pressure. And that's just things with a rookie, and things that are eventually going to, probably get better with time. I mean, we talked about the speed of the game being a little different for him playing, against college competition. At times you can see it. But then there's some times, Hunt, that he make a great throw. Last week he made one to Juwan Johnson on an over route. Then yesterday he made another great pass to Brandon Cooks on an over route. So, he's going to have to just get used to the speed of the game and the pressure, because he feels that pressure in the pocket, and he just, sometimes is moving back and throwing off his back foot, and that's things he's going to have to just get used to, just either running out of the pocket or just stepping up in the pocket and making that throw down the field.
Does it feel like he's trying not to make a mistake? Because that seems like a natural thing to do in your first camp.
Absolutely. And that's the thing in 7-on-7 drills. I think Bobby Hebert brought up a good question, because a lot of the quarterbacks in 7-on-7, mostly Tyler Struck, he's just tucking the ball and running in 7-on-7. You should never tuck the ball and run in 7-on-7, because it's like flag football. You got to get the ball out. Get rid of the ball. Somebody should be open. At least throw it. So, yeah, I mean, he's trying not to make a mistake. And I think Kellen Moore understands it. He doesn't want to make mistakes. But, the one thing that I think Kellen has said a few times in this training camp, I'm okay with quarterbacks, throwing interceptions. It's going to happen. It's just how you respond. I'd like to see him take a few chances, make a few risks out there, make a throw down the field. If you throw an interception, fine. Just how do you bounce back? How do you make yourself better after that? And I think that's what I think we want to see, or anyone wants to see from Tyler Shough.
Yeah, I mean, it's not apples to apples in any way. You're talking about the NFL here, and I'm talking about a guy fifth year in college. But Brian Kelly said in a press conference that Jaden Daniels wasn't throwing enough interceptions. He's like, he needs to throw the ball down the field and try to make something happen. And we know what happened. Ultimately, it all broke free, and that happened. So you feel like there's more untapped potential there, and maybe as he gets more comfortable and those receivers become more comfortable to him, he starts to take more chances. But do you think there's a reasonable chance Spencer Rattler starts the first game?
Yeah, I think that wouldn't be the bad decision to let him be the starting quarterback, because you got to look at the games that you start off with. Look, Arizona, San Francisco at home, then you go to Seattle and to Buffalo. Man, those aren't tough. Those aren't easy places to play. Would you throw a rookie quarterback who's never had a start in the NFL, who's still learning in training camp, would you throw him into the wolves, into the fire like that to start his career and set him back? I think that would be the smart decision to put Spencer Rattler out there, considering that he's played last year. He started 6 games. He started 6 games with an unhealthy team. You give him a healthy team to start off the season, that'll give you a chance to do something positive. So I in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinions, I think you're going to hear the name Spencer Rattler to start off, the season as the Saints starting quarterback, and let it go from there. If it's not great at game 9, 10, then, or maybe even earlier, you let Tyler Shough take the reins and see what you have from the guy that you drafted 40th overall.
That's interesting. Sharif Ishak, WDSU, is our guest. Anything you picked up from the way that Kellen Moore runs practice as opposed to what you've been watching for the last 15 years?
Oh, man, it is so much faster. The tempo is out of this world. The practices are ending quicker because they're getting a lot more work done, too. People are like, wow, why are these practices ending so early? They're getting a lot of work. The pace of play, the tempo is just unreal. It's something we haven't seen in I don't even know if Sean Payton really ran those type of up-tempo practices, but, man, they're getting a lot of work in. I'd say that, man. That Kellen has, got his head on straight in terms of, like, the amount of plays he's getting out there and in terms of the offense and the defense as well. I mean, they're just moving quick, getting a lot of plays done, even though practices are ending a little early. But you're going to start seeing practices extend a little bit more. But, yeah, the tempo has been phenomenal.
I know first day of pads yesterday, a bit of a walkthrough indoors today. What's coming up in the next couple of days?
Yeah, they're going right back into the pads, and I think the practices are going to extend a little bit longer. You're going to see those practices creep up a little past an hour and a half. The next few days, they're going to be off on Friday, and in the Saturday practice, it'll probably be huge. I mean, with the fans being here, I mean, the fans, it's open to the fans the next 2 days too, but I think Saturday's practice is going to be big. I mean, going to have a big attendance here, so I think that you're going to start seeing things get a little bit chippier because it's getting warmer and warmer. I'm expecting something to happen, a brouhaha, a little stuff, a little fight to happen. We already had one last week without the pads, and it lasted for like a good 10 seconds, Brandon Cooks and Rajon Wright. But you're going to start probably seeing it get a little chippier, man. Watch it, because it's gonna be that time of training camp with the pads coming on for a few more times.
Back in business down in New Orleans. If you're looking for Saints coverage, you can find it with Sharif, WDSU, and he's here every Tuesday with us talking black and gold. Thanks, Sharif.
Next Tuesday, I'm going to give you a little TMI. I'm having an endoscopy and a colonoscopy, so enjoy that information that I come on your radio show next week feeling a little loopy. So
well,
there you have it.
We may give you the week off after that, but we appreciate the heads up. So maybe we catch up in a couple of weeks.
Oh, all right. I thought my TMI radio interview would be great next week when I'm loopy. Fine.
Bye. The Sharif Ishak with a personal HIPAA violation, and then the information that we may not have.
Textbook stuff from Sharif.
Maybe we get him on Monday of next week. How's that sound? We'll see. Maybe pre-operation when Monday's not going to be a great day for Sharif. If I've never been through
you
the process.
Can't eat right or something.
No, you eat, but you get rid of it.
Yeah,
you got to get rid of everything. So maybe not a great day either on Monday for Sharif. So maybe we give him a little bit of time. But we'll talk Saints each and every day moving forward. If you're looking for our Saints content, you can find it wherever you find your sound. Hunt on Saints. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Get Saints content each and every day. Come back and close it out next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they cradle and cool the crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Nicely done, ice cubes.
At Sunshine, we know what you see when you look at your land. Where others may see dirt, you see the foundation you've built your life on. This, it's hallowed ground. It's past, present, and future. We're proud to provide quality John Deere equipment to help you maintain the land you love. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Flight by Yingling is raising the bar by crafting the next generation of light beer. With only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories, this is premium refreshment 6 generations in the making. Flight by Yingling. Raise the bar.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief: our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Interesting comment in the Bayou Ford chat. Sharif just mentioned in passing there at the end that he was not going to be able to join us next week because he was going to have a colonoscopy. T-Pal in the chat says, I'd rather have a colonoscopy than watch the Saints.
I would not. I've not even had one yet, and I'm pretty sure I would much rather just watch the Saints, even if they are the worst team in the NFL.
Do you think they're the worst team in the NFL?
I'm saying even if they were.
Do you think they are?
No, they're not. They're not the worst team.
You're confident in that?
I'm pretty confident.
I don't think the Titans are going to be very good.
No. Panthers probably won't be very good.
No. Cleveland, their defense is good.
Yeah, their defense is probably too good for them to be really bad.
We'll see. NFL is up and running Hall of Fame game in 2 days. It's my days of the week are not locked in right now.
Yeah.
But I do know that today's Tuesday, which means we are brought to you by Daryl May at Trusty Properties. I want to remind you about Daryl one more time, as we will on every Tuesday. They make our Tuesday shows possible. If you're looking for farm property, if you're looking for hunting property, if you're looking for agriculture land or second home property at False River, anything that deals with a significant amount of acreage, whether it's 10, 30, 300, Daryl can help you out with that. He's got access to the premium listings throughout the state of Louisiana, all throughout Mississippi as well. So if you've always thought about, man, love to purchase some land, or if you're thinking I need to get rid of some land, he can work on the buy side or the sell side for you. You can contact Daryl at 225-268-6915. Again, 225-268-6915. It's Daryl May with Trusty Properties, a name you can trust. Let's play some Take It or Leave It.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Presented to you by Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer, crafted by America's oldest brewery. Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Just take it. Grab a Flight by Yingling. They come in the awesome slim cans, the next generation of light beer, just 2.6 carbs, 95 calories. Next time you're in a situation thinking, man, I like a light beer, whether you're at the pool or out at the lake, whether you're on the grill, it's warm out, and certainly when tailgate season rolls around in September and it's still blazing hot down here in South Louisiana, try Flight by Yingling. It's the next generation of light beer.
Alrighty, first one here. Sad day yesterday. Cubs Hall of Famer Ryan Sandberg passed at just the young age of 65. Sandberg, a top 3 Cub of all time. Take it or leave it.
Ooh, take it.
I'll take it. I just and I was thinking of, like, he's definitely top 5, I think. So top 3 makes it a little more interesting.
It's Banks, it's Sandberg,
Santo probably is up there.
No, I mean it depends on what you think about the steroid stuff. I mean Sammy's just hit 606.
Yeah.
Like he hit 600 home runs.
If you're going to not really think about that too much, he probably 100%.
And so Sandberg was there. I'm too young to have remembered his prime. Like he was the MVP in '84, but he was certainly on the team and the most famous player on the team when I started watching the Cubs in the early '90s. Mark Grace was there, right there at the end of Rhino, and then his last year was '97, and '98 was when Sammy took off and hit the 60 home runs. So 66 that year, and that was really when I fell in love with the Cubs. So I was aware of Harry Carey calling Ryan Sandberg games in the '90s. But the faces of my childhood Cubs are Sammy Sosa and Mark Grace, and that was right after Sandberg. So the top 5 in some order is Fergie Jenkins, Ernie Banks, Ryan Sandberg, Sammy Sosa, and probably
I think Ron Santo's probably in there.
Probably Andre Dawson.
Or Andre, Andre maybe.
Yeah, I mean I think he trumps Rizzo, who was the face of the best run in the history of the Cubs, which was what we just watched.
I was interested.
That's probably it.
Yeah, I was interested to look Baseball Reference just to check out like the. So Ron Santo is he's second in Cubs history of career WAR. He's got 72 career WAR. So
I would not have thought that.
I would not have either. I knew he was a really good player. I think obviously a Hall of Famer as well, but. Ron Santo up there is but there's in the history, I was
such a bummer that Ron Santo did not go into the Hall of Fame while he was alive. That's a huge bummer. I was unfamiliar with Ron Santo's career until I started listening to the Cubs when that became available to me in my driving years, and he was the color commentator. And he was the most emotional color commentator who's ever lived. For Saints fans down here to remember Hokie Gajan, like Santo was that times 11. I mean, he would just be screaming into the microphone. I mean, it was classic. But yeah, he passed away and had not gone to the Hall of Fame, which is a huge bummer.
All right, last one here. Cubs Brewers Hunt. Got to get a win. Cubs win tonight. Take it or leave it.
Last night was terrible.
It was.
Got up 3-0 in the first, feeling great about it. Got Boyd on the mound, who's been awesome. He can't throw a strike. Offense goes in the deep freeze, just a disaster. Getting thrown out at third base. Ugly stuff. Awful baseball game last night, but only down 1 game. So You get back on the saddle. You go get them tonight at 6:40. You got to get a dub tonight.
I'll take it.
I really need one win. You can't get swept. If they lose 2 out of 3, they leave Milwaukee down 1 game.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. You can't leave Milwaukee down 3 games. So they got to get one tonight, and then we'll go see what they can do tomorrow. But it's crunch time now in Major League Baseball. I know that there just aren't very many people that care about that, but I do. So appreciate that. Not going to do it here for this Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. We are inching closer and closer and closer to LSU fall camp. I continue to refresh my email to see if we get a schedule because I would like to go take my friend up on his invite to play golf on Sunday. However, if we have practice on Sunday, we're going to have to make sure that that's covered. And I don't know what time the practice is or if I can cover it or any of that. And I need some info. So hopefully we get that. We'll relay it on to you. But when they do start practicing out on the Ponderosa, we'll have reports daily on LouisianaSports.net. Saints are knee-deep in it, and we're talking about them every day. If you missed any of today's show, catch it on demand wherever you find your sound. I started today's show talking about Bill Conley's SEC preview and what he thinks of this LSU team. And then we got into some Saints training camp at 1:15. Glenn West talking Tigers at 1:30. Josh Pearson said goodbye to LSU via social media today. We touched on his LSU career. I previewed LSU's defensive ends, who I think are going to be awesome this year. You can check that out at Hunt on LSU, wherever you find your sound. And then Sharif Aishat gave us a little too much information about his upcoming medical procedures, but we talked some Saints as well. That's it for me. Matt's going to drive you home next one after further view. He's back in studio finally. See y'all tomorrow.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
When it comes to industrial construction, River Parish Contractors can do it all. Mechanical, structural, custom fabrication, specialized welding, and turnaround services. Strategically located in between Baton Rouge and New Orleans, we have the local team with the experience and commitment to safety to manage the most complex industrial projects. Period. Here's the deal. Partnering with us means your project is delivered on time, on budget, and most important, safely. River Parish Contractors, let's get building.